A very long way away from here, there was a country named Chini. And in the country there were a lot of very happy people. Each day that the sun would shine, they would all get together and go out into the fields and work to grow the food for all the people that lived there. They would sing songs all day long, and in the evening they would sit around the fires and tell stories of all those that came before them, and how they admired them for all the hard work that they had done while they were alive. The people of Chini adored their forefathers so much that they built statues and shrines all over the country to help remind them of those that came before them. Some of the people there even built temples dedicated to ones that were the greatest in their eyes, and they started to worship them, praying to them for things like rain, food, clothing, and that they and their children would live long lives and be healthy and happy. One day some people showed up from a country a very long way from Chini, and they started to talk about a different god, one that not only created everything and everybody, but who loved them with all of his heart. The people were very glad to hear about this new god, and listened intently. Many even stopped going to temples that had been built, and instead started to gather together and listen as the ones who came from far away would read to them from the book they brought with them about this one true God. But the leaders of the land of Chini became very angry about this. They did not want the people to stop praying to the gods of their land. They did not want them to be influenced by what was written in the book the people had brought with them from very far away. They told those who had come from very far away to go back to where they had come from, and to take their book with them. But what the leaders did not know was that the people had made many copies of the book in their own language, and so when they found out about this, they were very angry. The leaders tried to take away all the books the people had made, but there were too many. So when anyone was found with one, they were taken away and put in places where they could not talk to or see any of their friends or family ever again. People could not understand why the leaders were so angry, because the book spoke about how we are to love one another and treat each other with respect and courtesy. As time moved on, many people in many other lands found out how hardworking the people of Chini were, and they came to them and asked them if they would grow and build the things that they needed. People of those other lands sent the materials to Chini for them to build the things they wanted and needed. And when those in Chini had finished the work, they put all those things on big boats and shipped them back to those other lands. Soon, many of the people in those lands far away found out they did not have to build anything, but the people of Chini were very happy to make whatever they asked of them, and even more. The people of the book, for that was what those in the land of Chini called themselves who prayed to and worshipped the one true God the book those people long ago had brought to them, worked right alongside everyone else in the land, and while they knew that if their leaders found this out about them that they would be sent away forever, it was almost impossible for them to not speak of him who was written of in the book. The leaders sent spies out into the land to find by settled people of the book. They put up cameras almost everywhere to watch all the people to make sure that not only did all the people of Chini do as they were told, but also to capture all those who followed the one true God, and to send them away where they could not speak to any of the people of the land. Some from those faraway lands who also worshipped and served the God of the book came to the land of Chini, not only to bring more copies of the book to them, but also to help them in whatever way they could. But the leaders of Chini had put armed guards at all the entry points of their land, making it very difficult for them to get in. But that did not stop them, for bringing the message of the book was more important to them than anything else in their lives. If they were caught by armed men, they were not always just sent back home, but would be sent to those places that the leaders had built for all those who would not obey him completely. Places where sadness and sorrow, pain and even death will await for what was left of the rest of their lives. When the leaders in other lands saw how much money the leaders and people that obeyed the rulers of the land of Chini were making by building all the things that those in the faraway lands wanted, and how they did nothing to stop the leaders of Chini from hurting those who followed the one true God of the book, they also began to offer their services to those in the faraway lands, places like North Coriander, North Vietnamese, and even as far away as the land of Aok and Sardine Morbia. For they knew that those in faraway lands no longer made any of the things they themselves wanted and needed, but also that they would do nothing to them when they hurt those who followed the words of the book. There were some in those faraway lands that also worshipped the one the book spoke of, and they tried to tell their leaders that they should do something about all the pain and suffering those in the land of Chini and other places were inflicting on the ones they called their brothers and sisters of the book. Some listened, but most would not. Almost all of the things that the people in those faraway places bought and used was now made in the land of Chini, and the leaders did not want to upset those who ruled there, and many of them were becoming very rich from those same items. They told the people to go back to their homes, and to stop thinking about those people in faraway lands, to concern themselves with themselves, and the land they lived in. Many of those faraway lands that bought all the things made in Chini, like Canopthere, Amosia, and even Grand Britannia, allowed the people of their land to meet together to worship the one the book spoke of. But they began to punish them in many different, and sometimes very subtle ways for doing so. They did not want to hear about the ones who loved all that the book spoke of, and like those long ago in Chini, they had set up their own altars that they wanted the people of their land to worship at. The idol of vain glory, of selfish ambition, of power, and even the biggest idol of all, the idol of money. After some time, the leaders of all the lands got together and decided that it was time for them to rule over the entire planet. That they alone knew the best course for everyone to take. And they began to put their plans into action. They knew about the people of the book and how some of those who followed the one written of in it would try to resist them. And so they began to set in motion ways to stop them from doing so. They made laws saying that the words of the book were cruel, that they were only for those who would follow the one written of in the book, and even that the book was intolerant of what many believed was their right to live as they chose. They began to devise ways to punish all who followed the one written of in the book. But the people of the book knew something that the rulers of all those lands did not, that the book, written by the one true God, not only spoke of the past, but of the future. It spoke of very great troubles that would appear, how men would become lovers of themselves, but they would become covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemous, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce-breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. And they also knew that the one the book spoke of was going to come and take them to where he is, before all of those terrible days spoken of in the book began. But that did not stop them from reaching out to tell all who would listen about the one the book spoke of the love that he has for all who will come to him. In fact, it made many of them even more adamant to do so, for they could tell that the time was running short. They stopped fearing what the rulers of their lands, or even the people that hated them for following the one the book spoke of, could do to them, and started reaching out to all who would listen. They knew they did not have much time left before they were removed from this place. None would hear the words they offered from the book. This they knew full well, but that did not discourage them. Some who heard them speak today would not heed the words of truth from the book until long after they were gone. And then they also, with what little time they had, days of coming sorrow, do all that they could for the glory of the one who wrote the book.